Welcome to ASTRALX, Illuminating Your Cosmic Path. I'm Solarian Zephyr, your cosmic strategist.
And I'm Lunaria Selene, your intuitive guide.
And today we are taking a deep dive into some fascinating celestial energies.
Specifically shaping the path in 2025 for those of you out there with Scorpio Rising and a Cancer Sun.
Have you ever noticed how the way you come across can seem really intense?
Magnetic even.
But on the inside, you're this wellspring of deep emotion and care.
Yeah, it's this really captivating dance between your Scorpio Rising and your Cancer Sun.
Stick with us and we will illuminate this powerful combination for you.
And how the cosmic currents of 2025 will uniquely influence you.
It's going to be an amazing deep dive.
Yeah, so let's start with your astrological blueprint.
Okay.
Because it paints such a compelling picture, and it all begins with that Scorpio rising energy.
Right.
The energy you project out into the world.
Like a first impression.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
the sources we've been looking at,
Yeah.
they all point to this undeniable intensity, this captivating aura of mystery,
It's so true.
and a really grounded confidence.
Yeah.
And you might have noticed this about yourself if you have Scorpio rising.
Yeah.
Maybe you have a really piercing gaze,
Yeah.
and just this natural ability to see beyond the surface.
It's almost like you can look right through people.
Right. And some descriptions even mention this rugged or mysterious charm,
Interesting.
which can give you natural charisma and a way of subtly influencing situations
Real.
just through the power of your mind
Wow.
and your aura.
So this outward presentation, the Scorpio rising mask,
Yeah.
it really sets the stage for how the world interacts with you.
Right.
But what about underneath?
Yeah. What lies beneath?
We have that heart of your being the Cancer Sun.
Right. And that reveals a totally different landscape.
Yeah.
It's this deeply emotional, sensitive, and highly intuitive inner world.
Okay.
And at your core, you're guided by your feelings and a profound empathy for everyone around you.
I'm sure.
And family and home are really important to you. And you have this really strong desire to create a secure and harmonious environment for the people you love.
So it's kind of like this contrast of energies, right?
It is a contrast,
Yeah.
and that's where the magic happens.
I like that.
This is where the most dynamic aspects of this pairing emerge.
Okay.
So think about it. You present this outwardly resilient,
Uh-huh.
maybe even slightly enigmatic front.
I see.
But on the inside, you have this deeply tender and feeling self.
Wow.
And this duality can be a source of huge strength,
Okay.
but it can also create some internal friction.
If they're not integrated.
Exactly.
So maybe sometimes you feel like you have to project this strength and control in your daily life.
Yeah, your Scorpio rising's got to take charge.
But then privately, you're dealing with all these sensitivities or the needs of your family.
That Cancer Sun coming through.
Yeah. And it's interesting because recognizing this inner tug of war is kind of the first step
Absolutely.
towards making these powerful parts of you work together.
To harmony. And actually, that duality that you mentioned,
Yeah.
the outward strength meeting that rich, sometimes vulnerable inner world.
It sounds like it could be hard to balance sometimes.
It can be,
Yeah.
but it also creates this really unique resilience.
In what way?
The Scorpio rising acts as this protective layer almost,
I see.
allowing the Cancer Sun's sensitivity to be in the world without feeling exposed all the time.
No, it's nice.
But yeah, if they aren't talking to each other, it could lead to you feeling like you can't express your emotions fully.
Right. Or that your deeper needs clash with the image you're projecting.
Exactly.
But there's also this element of emotional resilience that comes from that Scorpio rising.
Yeah.
And then the Cancer Sun is feeling everything so intensely.
So you experience emotions deeply,
Yeah,
but you have the strength to move through them.
that's pretty powerful.
It is powerful.
Yeah.
Because the Scorpio rising gives you this tenacity, this ability to weather the storms and come out stronger on the other side.
Yeah.
And the Cancer Sun makes sure you're aware of all the emotional nuances so
Wow.
you understand and process them deeply
Wow.
instead of just trying to get over them quickly.
So it's real emotional fortitude.
Yes, you feel it all,
Yeah.
but you're equipped to handle it.
And that could translate to being able to really empathize with other people's pain.
That Cancer Sun right there,
Uh-huh.
but you can still draw on that inner strength
From the Scorpio rising.
to get through your own tough times.
Yeah. And that's probably why you end up being the one your friends turn to when things are rough.
Yeah, and you might even process your own emotions more privately.
Makes sense. And it seems like those protective instincts are amplified in this combination
They are.
because both signs are so invested in the well-being of their inner circle.
Right.
So Scorpio rising brings that fierce protectiveness, ready to defend their loved ones.
Yeah.
And then the Cancer Sun just wants to make sure everyone's comfortable and cared for.
It's a really potent combination.
Yeah. Especially for someone in a caregiving role.
A father, a partner, even a close friend.
So how does all of this play out in close relationships?
Wow.
We're seeing this need for deep, intense connection from the Scorpio rising,
Right.
but also that longing for emotional security, stability, and authenticity from the Cancer Sun.
And that all points to a real need for profound intimacy.
I see.
Because the Scorpio rising doesn't want anything superficial.
Yeah.
It craves depth, understanding, transformation, even within a relationship.
Wow.
And the Cancer Sun wants to feel safe and accepted for who they are.
So trust and loyalty are key.
Absolutely essential.
Yeah, you want a partner who can handle the intensity of that Scorpio rising,
Right.
but also be there for your Cancer Sun.
And provide that stable foundation.
And what about career and ambition?
Interesting question.
Because we're seeing this drive from the Scorpio rising, but also the Cancer Sun's need to nurture and care.
And what emerges is this beautiful blend of strategic thinking and emotional intelligence.
Oh, I like that.
So your Scorpio rising can fuel this focused and determined approach to achieving your goals.
Okay.
Maybe even an understanding of power dynamics
Yeah.
and how to navigate complex situations.
Like in a big organization.
Right. And then your Cancer Sun brings in the meaning.
So you want to make a difference.
Yeah, you want to contribute something that aligns with your values.
Whether it's caring for others or creating something lasting.
Or even championing a cause you believe in.
Yeah, this could lead to success in a lot of fields.
Especially where empathy and strategic thinking are both needed.
All right, so let's summarize some of these core traits.
Okay.
We see intensity.
This quiet confidence on the outside,
Mm-hmm.
but deep emotions underneath.
And then determination.
Yeah, this focus on goals and fierce protection of loved ones.
Which is interesting because then we also have this need for privacy.
Yeah, being selective about who you let in.
And protecting those vulnerabilities.
Makes sense for both Scorpio and Cancer energy.
For sure. And of course, loyalty is huge.
Deep devotion.
Deeply attached to family and friends.
Unwavering bonds.
And then finally, nurturing.
That desire to protect and provide and care for the people you're responsible for.
It's beautiful.
It is a beautiful thing.
Okay, so now let's turn our attention to 2025
All right.
and look at some of the major astrological movements that will be affecting you.
Let's do it.
And we'll start with the lunar nodes shifting into Pisces and Virgo,
Around January 11th.
for those who don't know,
The lunar nodes are points in space,
related to the moon's orbit.
and their movement signifies a collective shift in focus.
So what does this particular shift mean?
Well, with the North Node in Pisces, there's an emphasis on spirituality and intuition.
I see.
And this is interesting because with Scorpio rising wanting control and Cancer Sun sometimes being insecure,
Yeah?
this transit encourages letting go of that rigid control
Okay.
and being less critical of yourself.
It's like going with the flow.
Exactly, trusting your intuition more. And the South Node in Virgo suggests releasing those overly critical tendencies.
Towards yourself and others.
Right, and being more compassionate and understanding.
So this can really resonate with your Cancer Sun.
Yeah, encouraging you to trust your inner guidance.
Awesome. And then we have Saturn and Neptune both moving into Aries.
Saturn around May 24th, and Neptune a little earlier, around March 30th.
Okay, Saturn transits are all about structure and responsibility.
Right.
And Neptune brings in idealism and dreams.
So how will this affect your career and who you are?
Well, this is a potent combination
It is.
because Saturn in Aries brings this energy of taking action and building a solid foundation.
For your ambitions and
Right.
your sense of self,
So like getting serious about your goal.
and putting in the work.
But then Neptune in Aries adds this expansive vision.
It wants you to dream big
Okay.
and find a deeper purpose.
So the key is to balance those two
The practicality of Saturn with the idealism of Neptune.
so you don't get lost in the clouds. But if you can harness both these energies, you can make huge progress.
In your career and as a person.
And then we have Venus retrograde in Aries and Pisces.
From March 1st to April 12th.
And just as a reminder, when a planet goes retrograde,
Its energy turns inward.
yeah.
So for Venus, it's a time to review relationships and finances.
So what kind of reassessment might be happening here?
Well, this Venus retrograde spans 2 signs.
Interesting.
So in Aries, it's about how you assert yourself in relationships.
Okay.
And your approach to money, are you being impulsive?
Or not assertive enough.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then when Venus moves into Pisces, the focus shifts to your emotional needs,
Uh-huh.
your empathy, your compassion, and even your spiritual side.
Wow.
And old relationship patterns might come up
So you have to figure out what's really important to you.
in love and money.
It's like a reset.
Yeah, a chance to find a better balance between your needs and the needs of others.
And would you say this is a good time to start new relationships?
Probably not. This is
Not,
more of a time for reflection and getting clear.
not making big decisions.
Not yet.
Okay, and then Jupiter
The planet of expansion and opportunity,
is in Gemini for the first part of the year,
right?
and then it moves into Cancer.
Around June 9th.
That's your sun sign.
It is.
So what does that mean for you?
Well, while Jupiter's in Gemini, it's expanding your mind.
Making you curious.
Yeah, you'll want to learn new things and communicate better.
Yeah, meet new people.
But the real highlight is when Jupiter enters Cancer,
Okay.
because then it's all about personal growth and emotional healing.
And a focus on home and family.
Exactly. There will be so many opportunities for positive changes in your personal life,
Wow.
and your relationships with loved ones will be more harmonious.
So you'll feel more secure and emotionally well.
This is a really auspicious transit for Cancer suns.
A time to blossom.
Absolutely.
And we also have Uranus in Gemini for a short time.
From July 7th to November 7th.
And Uranus is all about the unexpected, right?
Yeah, it brings change and innovation.
So what kind of shakeups can we expect?
Well, with Uranus and Gemini, it could affect how you communicate,
Okay.
how you learn, and how you connect with people.
So maybe some cool new technology.
Or sudden changes in your social circles.
Okay.
The key here is to be flexible and open-minded,
To embrace those changes.
because they could be really exciting.
Even if they're a bit unpredictable.
Exactly.
So 2025 is definitely looking dynamic.
And transformative,
Yeah.
for sure.
Now let's talk about how Scorpio Rising and Cancer Sun express themselves with different stages of life.
Okay.
Let's start with young men.
All right.
What are some of their key experiences?
Well, as we said earlier, there might be this internal conflict between the Scorpio rising's need for independence
Uh-huh.
and the Cancer sun's need for connection and nurturing.
So these young guys might seem tough on the outside,
Yeah, put on that brave face.
but inside, they still crave reassurance and validation.
And a sense of belonging with their family.
It's so important for parents to understand that duality and create an environment that allows them to be both independent and emotionally secure.
Right, because they might feel pressure to hide their sensitive side.
Like they have to man up
Yeah, but they still need that emotional connection
from their family.
that their Cancer sun craves.
And then as they grow up and maybe become fathers themselves,
How does that change things?
well, how do you think their astrological combination might influence their parenting style?
Well, they're likely to be very protective
Yeah,
and dedicated to providing for their kids,
that's Scorpio rising strength.
combined with the Cancer sun's nurturing instincts.
So they'll create a safe and loving home.
But they might need to watch out for that Scorpio intensity.
In what way?
They might become a little too controlling or overprotective.
Even if it comes from a good place.
Exactly.
Okay, and as grandfathers, what kind of presence do they bring to the family?
They often become this strong, quiet, wise presence.
Like an anchor.
Yeah, they've gained resilience and wisdom from their experiences.
Scorpio rising.
And they have that deep loyalty and emotional depth of the Cancer sun.
So they're a source of strength and understanding for their grandkids.
Even if they don't always show it outwardly,
And what about their friendships with other men?
they value deep, meaningful connections.
Based on trust and loyalty.
Right. It takes time for them to open up because of that guarded Scorpio rising.
But once they do, those bonds are incredibly strong.
Yeah. And they need friends who can understand and respect their intensity.
Even if they don't always express it openly.
Exactly.
So for someone with this powerful combination of Scorpio rising and Cancer sun, what are some key takeaways?
Well, first of all, you have to recognize and value your emotional intelligence. That empathy and intuition from your Cancer sun are strengths, not weaknesses.
So learn to understand trust and express your feelings.
In a healthy way, of course.
Of course.
And then find good outlets for that Scorpio rising energy.
Whether it's physical activity
Or creative pursuits.
or anything that lets you channel that intensity.
Don't try to suppress it.
That makes sense.
What else? Well, working on building trust in relationships and allowing yourself to be vulnerable is huge.
Yeah, that Scorpio rising likes to build walls.
But the Cancer sun needs that authentic connection.
So let people in.
And in family roles, it's all about finding the balance.
Between being nurturing and setting boundaries.
So you don't become too controlling.
And finally, embrace those opportunities for growth that 2025 is bringing.
Especially that Jupiter in Cancer transit.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing for your personal development.
It is.
So to sum it up, someone with Scorpio rising and a Cancer sun is a fascinating mix.
Of outward magnetism and deep emotional resonance.
You move through the world with this quiet intensity.
But you're capable of both fierce protection and incredible tenderness.
And the astrological energies of 2025 are supporting your growth.
There are opportunities for spiritual exploration, career advancement, and real expansion in your emotional life and family connections.
The key is to embrace both your sensitivity and your strength.
They're both part of who you are.
Now, what parts of this resonate most with you?
What do you think?
How do you see these astrological influences shaping your journey through 2025?
This is just the beginning of your exploration.
Yeah, we encourage you to reflect on these insights and keep exploring how your unique cosmic blueprint is guiding you.
And if you've enjoyed this deep dive,
be sure to follow ASTRALX, illuminating your cosmic path for more profound insights into your cosmic tapestry.
What questions are the stars whispering to you right now?
About your purpose and your potential.
We'd love to hear your thoughts.